Good morning, friends. This is John Mylant with Chapter 6 of Think and Grow Rich, called Imagination and What I Learned from It. Here are the three key takeaways that I got from this chapter that we're going to talk about. Number one, the power of imagination in human achievement. Number two, the forms of imagination. There's synthetic and creative imagination. And number three, transforming ideas into wealth through purpose and action. So let's dive deep with number one, the power of imagination in human achievement. There are three things I really got out of this chapter about this. We got to realize that the power of imagination in progress, so that we're moving forward, lies at the heart of innovation. Whenever innovation, it could be big or it could be as simple as solving a problem. Acting as a workshop where abstract desires form into tangible realities. Now, this is important because everything is abstract until it becomes a reality. Over the past 50 years, humanity has used imaginative thinking to harness nature forces. We have seen this since the beginning of the Wright brothers with air travel, clear on up to today with our cell phones. We can talk to everybody all over the world in seconds. 100 years ago, their minds would be blown at this. Seeing where we've come lets us see that, wow, what can the future hold? Well, you know what I tell all my clients? I said, we are limitless. We can do anything our imagination can't think about. There is no problem that we can't solve. All we got to do is ask the right question. So let's dive deeper into this potential for human nature that we have and ask this question. How can harnessing the power of imagination unlock human innovation and really just push the boundaries of what we can achieve? I want you to take this personally. And there's three things that we're going to learn as we dive deeper into this. Number one, we've got to cultivate a mindset of possibility. So shift your mindset from limitations that basically keep us alive. They're fear-based. Shift them from limitations to possibilities by just imagining, this is what I do, this is what I teach my client, that we have no boundaries. We have no limitations that we have set up that we can't push out farther and farther and farther. This shift removes all these self-imposed barriers that do nothing but keep us alive. They don't help us grow. And when we do this and move this out, it really sparks these innovative ideas. And then what happens? Our imagination gets bolder and bolder. That same thing that was behind air travel, space exploration, and this leads to the transformative solutions that we need to get where we want to go, just as individuals. So that's number one, cultivate a mindset of possibility. Number two, engage in creative visualization techniques. This is really important in everything that we do. We've got to visualize in our mind's eye our goals vividly in as much detail as possible. Because you got to remember, it's your thoughts and your feelings that make your decisions. We got to have them in balance. Well, your thoughts need to be as detailed and as specific as possible to make the right decisions. The brain treats imagined experiences just like real ones. So literally, when we ponder this and think this, it really helps us clarify the path that we want to take. So, I encourage you daily, visualize what you want. It's going to strengthen your focus and prepare you for success to make the right decisions. Number two, engage in creative visualization technique. And number three, collaborate with others and share ideas. We don't succeed on our own. Innovation flourishes when ideas are freely shared. So collaborate with people who offer different perspective on things. Challenge your assumptions, their assumptions. Encourage that creative thinking when you talk about things. Be innovative. Unlock collective breakthroughs. All this needs to happen in order to get to the next level that we want. It's all about teamwork, my friends. Like the Wright brothers, their airplane, NASA's Apollo mission. It didn't happen with just one person. There's a whole group of people working together. This shows how imagination drives progress and innovation. But remember, it's not on your own. All about collaboration. So if we practice these three things, we will be able to answer this question for ourselves. Personalize it. How can I harness my power of imagination to unlock my innovation and push my boundaries of what I can achieve? Practice these three things. That's what diving deeper means. to this. Okay, let's dive deep into the second two forms of imagination that we have: synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination just rearranges existing concepts into combination of things. And this is indispensable when you're inventing things or problem solving. It's not something new, you're taking things that are known and you're rearranging them in a certain order to solve problems. Now, creative imagination, on the other hand, taps into that broader, what Napoleon Hill calls the infinite intelligence. If you want to call it God, we can talk about God as a guideline here. This generates novel ideas, fresh inspirations, and it complements the synthetic imagination, because your synthetic imagination, you're taking things from your frame of reference you already know. The creative imagination is going to introduce you to things that are not in your life yet, and that is pretty cool. And this is how they work together. The key to innovation and success is actively develop both forms of imagination, because they're essential for transforming your desires into tangible achievements. This is extremely important. You're going to always refer back to your frame of reference of things you know to try to figure things out, but sometimes you're going to have to use that creative imagination and find out something in the future that you don't have yet, that you're going to add to this piece of the puzzle to make it work right. So that brings up a question, or a deeper question for us. And this is what we're going to dive deeper into. How can understanding and developing the two forms of imagination, synthetic and creative, enhance our ability to be innovative and achieve success? Well, there's three things you need to do to answer this question. Number one, let's dive deeper into synthetic information and how you use it now, basically with problem solving and invention. All right. Synthetic imagination combines existing ideas to create new solutions. You go back to your frame of reference most of the time, aiding in problem solving, innovating, and innovation. By nature, this is the first thing we do. When we come across a problem or something we're trying to work on, we're referring back to our experiences. We break down problems and we recombine concepts we already know, and this leads to practical solutions for immediate needs that we have. And we as entrepreneurs, especially if you want to build a legacy, use synthetic imagination to enhance products by merging successful features or better meeting of customer demands. There's all sorts of ways that we are looking back on what we have done experientially in the past and how we take those experiences and combine them in something new in order to solve a problem that we run into. And this, my friends, is also just called personal growth. Creative imagination is much, much different. This is where, think about it like you're reaching into the future. You're learning something that you don't know yet, and you're taking that with what you already know and applying it together. This is what Napoleon Hill calls connecting with the infinite intelligence. Creative imagination tap into our intuitive source or inspiration. For guys, I call it gut instinct. For women, I call it intuition, because it goes beyond our existing knowledge. Like I said, we don't know this yet. It enables entrepreneurs, artists, leaders to envision groundbreaking ideas and possibilities that completely disrupt the status quo. It could even create new markets. We've experienced this over time, right? You've been there. Okay. Fostering creative imagination leads to insights and breakthroughs that drive long-term success. And we need this in our lives on a daily basis. That's number two. So we've learned about creative imagination and we've learned about synthetic imagination. And number three is enhancing both forms for success, understanding this and how to tap into them. Synthetic and creative imagination, they work together and they create, a dynamic synergy when you let them work together. Most of the time, we're always just referring back to our past and we're not growing into the future like we need to. Synthetic imagination turns ideas into practical solutions, while creative imagination sparks that innovation and that vision of something that is not there yet. So remember, synthetic imagination solves problems and helps us move forward, whereas creative imagination helps us envision something new in the future. Nurturing both of these allows them to reinforce each other. And with that synergy, creative imagination will inspire ideas, and your synthetic imagination will refine and figure out how to apply them. So let them work together. When you do this, we can answer this question. And let's personalize. How can understanding and developing these two forms of imagination, synthetic and creative, enhance my ability to innovate and achieve success? Answer that question, my friend. So let's move on to principle number 3 in this chapter that I learned. We're going to dive deep into this principle, transforming ideas into wealth through purpose and action. It's as simple as this: wealth through strategy. Wealth comes not solely just from hard work, but from say that word right. From strategically applying clear ideas and plans to achieve goals. In this chapter, we've got stories from Coca-Cola and Frank Gunnislaw's determination to establish a college. This highlights the importance of strong desire, clear purpose, and decisive action in achieving success. Let me say that again. These 3 things are important. You've got to have that strong desire, a clear purpose, and take decisive action if you're going to success. Notice none of the stuff is general here. It's all very specific, right? From vision to reality. This is what we all want. Ideas must be nurtured and transformed into actionable plans, emphasizing that clarity of vision and proactive effort are keys to achieving just remarkable success and fulfillment. Now that is going to cause us to dive even deeper with a new question. How can you transform your ideas into wealth by aligning purpose with decisive action? There's 3 steps you can take to do this, my friends. Step number 1, clarify your vision and purpose. This is where specificity is so important. Define a clear vision by identifying the problem you're solving and why it matters. Just don't do something first, stop and back up. Number 2, a clear purpose motivates consistent action and helps you stay focused. Motivation is important and purpose is important, and it's the clarity that enhances this, that works every day so that you're persistent. And we've already talked about that in another chapter. And then purpose guides your decision and keeps you aligned with your goal, like Frank Gunnislaw did when he built that college that you learned about when you read this chapter if you haven't read it yet. But remember, when we make decisions and we make actions, the influence comes from our thought and from our feeling. And if you have a clear vision and purpose, they will guide your decisions in the right direction that you need to go. That's number 1. After clarity of vision, create a strategic plan and set milestones. I do this with my clients constantly. Break your purpose into clear steps with shorter and long-term goals. This is what we do. You create a vision, you break that down into mid-range goals, you break that down into smaller goals with weekly and daily tasks. This creates a plan, basically, is what it is, right? So you've got specific actions to bring something to light. It's like securing funds or launching a product. You just don't do it. It's all broken down into stages and how it is finally launched. And then what do? You review and adjust your plan regularly so that you stay on track, like Coke's strategic execution. Remember, read this chapter and you'll learn more about that. That's number 2, create a strategic plan and set milestones. And number 3, take consistent, decisive action. Remember what I keep telling you this because it's true. Thoughts and feelings in balance influence our decisions and our actions. When you want to turn your ideas into wealth, it requires this relentless action over and over. Every decision, moment by moment, and they have to align with your goals. This is why specificity is so important. So act with purpose and urgency, whether you're refining a product, connecting with investors, expanding your network, going into a sale, it doesn't matter. Have purpose and have urgency in there so you know what you're doing and where you're going. Be mindful in that moment. I literally call this mindfulness in the moment because, my friends, success comes from consistent action and execution, as shown by entrepreneurs who actively pursue their ideas, not just dream about them. And this is what we want for you. This is what you want, right? Because you want to create a legacy in your life. This is how we do it. This is the formula. So if we practice these three things, we're going to be able to answer this question. How can I transform my ideas into wealth? By aligning purpose and decisive action. If you practice these three steps, you'll be able to answer this question. So as we bring this chapter to a close, let me summarize it for you. Chapter 6 of Think and Grow Rich emphasizes the power of imagination in human achievement. And it highlights two forms, synthetic and creative. Remember, synthetic imagination rearranges existing ideas, while creative imagination taps into that, what he calls, Napoleon Hill calls, infinite intelligence. The chapter stresses that transforming ideas into wealth requires clear purpose, action, and a proactive approach to innovation. My friends, that is chapter 6. Learn to apply it to your life. The next video will be about chapter 7, which is called Organized Planning, the crystallization of desire into action. This is going to be good.